Hello everyone and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. Sometime, likely in the not too distant future, an earthquake is going to erupt in the church, and its epicenter will be the ranch of Mel Gibson in Agora Hills, California. Gibson is a well-known actor, splendid movies, wonderful acting ability. In terms of his faith, he is a sedevacantist, a word that comes from the Latin meaning empty chair, meaning the throne of St. Peter has no occupant. It's empty. There's no pope. There are different camps of sedevacantists, and while there are some divisions among them, there is broad agreement that Vatican II was bad and that there has not been a valid pope since the death of Pope Pius XII in 1958. And yeah, you heard that right. Not a valid pope in 65 years and counting. And it's that and counting part that is becoming a problem for some sedes. It will come as no surprise that at least some sedevacantists do not accept bishops ordained in the Latin Church under the completely revised rites after Vatican II. This inevitably leads to a sede priest personnel crisis. They need to replenish their ranks and fast, and this is where Mel Gibson starts to get involved. A few years ago, a 97-year-old retired bishop in Texas caught the attention of the sedevacantists, Gibson included, after the bishop declared, with many non-sedevacantists, that Francis was not the validly elected pope. In 2020, Gibson met with this bishop, who claims that he was consecrated in the pre-Vatican II rite of ordination. Therefore, if he ordained a priest, that priest would fit the bill of not being a Vatican II priest and thusly be validly ordained. In January 2021, the then 97-year-old retired prelate was at Mel's ranch. There, the bishop provided an affidavit to Gibson, sworn to January 21, 2021, before a California notary public. Church Militant has the name and the commission number of the notary. And so that those who are concerned with this understand we do have all that information in our possession, we will reveal that the notary's commission number begins with 22-17. The affidavit maintains that he had indeed been consecrated a bishop in the old rite in 1972. Prior to this event at Mel's Ranch, various notable canceled priests had been quietly approached either by Gibson or an associate of his and asked, "Are you satisfied your ordination was valid?" Or a very similar question. Very similar question. Depending on the answer, these priests were led into a sacramental morass with the arrival of 6 priests in Gibson's private chapel in January 2021. There, the retired bishop went through with these priests a, quote, supplying of services ceremony. It involved certain parts from the old rite of ordination that had been removed after Vatican II being said over these priests. On its face, this ceremony appears pretty innocuous. However, it is, and here's the point, totally foreign to the Church's understanding of the sacrament of holy orders. Why do it if you don't question the liturgical reforms of Vatican II or doubt the reformed rite of ordination? Given the context of Gibson's sedevacantist views, that it was done at his sedevacantist chapel with an elderly bishop who seems to believe Francis isn't the Pope, the ceremony is at least highly suspect. It gives the impression that these priest ordinations were somehow deficient but have now been corrected. A similar ceremony was held a second time later in 2021 with other priests. Church Militant knows the identity of several of these priests, but we are withholding them for the moment, as we expect this story will have larger ramifications with their bishops, not to mention the retired bishop who was involved. One or more may regret their actions, for example, and wish to recant. It's not entirely clear if each of the individual priests actually understood what they had submitted to, whether their original ordinations were somehow defective. Church Militant has direct knowledge of some individuals, and we have spoken with some of them, who have alerted the hierarchy. Rome is also aware of what happened at Gibson's ranch, as are at least 2 of those priests' diocesan bishops. Whatever backroom and canon law issues may be at play, it is possible that this supplying of services ceremony is now at play in their cases before Rome, and may be the reason some of them might be kicked out of the priesthood. To question or instill doubt about the validity of one's own ordination because it was done after 1958 is a grave matter. The church simply cannot have priests walking around doubting the validity of their own ordinations, so much so that they would participate in some kind of ceremony or ritual manipulated by a sedevacantist celebrity. This story is not merely about the sacramental validity of individual ordinations, but of questioning the church's right of ordination itself. This kind of stuff is not terribly unlike what the schismatic SSPX group does in many cases when a priest comes to them and wants to join up. They conditionally ordain him into the schismatic society under the guise of being just sure, just in case your ordination wasn't valid. Suffice it to say, this is the root of schism, its evil consequences and bad fruit, that the sacraments themselves, not just whether they are licit, but doubting then whether they're even valid. For almost 2 weeks, we have been pounding the drum about schism and the massive danger it poses to the peace and well-being of the church. We've been doing this in build up to this story, as well as some others that we're going to be revealing in due course in short time. For example, we have come to learn that these canceled priests are not the only canceled priests or group of canceled priests who have been to Mel's Ranch. Those who understand what is meant by that shout out is for you. What is in the process of forming right now in various places, more on that in upcoming episodes, is a type of underground church that will not be valid or legitimate, but will move about as quietly as possible, undermining communion with the authentic church. It will be the poison of a schismatic mindset that has been allowed to fester in the church for decades by reckless, wicked, and uncaring cowardly bishops who allow any evil on the right or the left to gain traction. The world is in crisis because the church is in crisis. Loyal sons of the church must step forward and now become involved in this and put an end to it, all of it, by exposing it. What will be commonly understood as secret reordinations, valid or invalid sacraments flowing from them, jurisdictional control of the church, the role of the clergy, what side people are on, which side is right, who the pope is there a pope? If so, how do you know? All of this, these dilemmas threaten the very life of the church as we have come to understand that, and all of this must be brought out and corrected for the good of the church's unity and the respect for the authenticity of the holy sacraments. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.